Alright guys, just want to say well done for making it to the end of the module. This is the final slide. We're going to do some really important summaries. This is going to be the last time we're going to look at the time and sales. I don't actually use it myself, but there's some critical reasons why I wanted to introduce it at this stage. Like I've already said, it's raw data in its purest format. So let's just quickly summarize what it is that we were seeing on the time and sales in terms of transactional data. Now, I should also quickly say that there's bound to be many of you, and don't think you're the only one if you feel like this. I felt like this at the start. You may be sitting there thinking, Envy, I haven't got a clue what is going on. There's too much information, there's too many columns, it's just too much. I'm just normally used to seeing the bid and offer. Now I'm seeing these four new columns. Guys, it's normal. It's a lot of information to take in. In the next module, I'm going to build this entire thing up for you from scratch using the fruit and vegetable market, and then we're going to come back to the financial market. So don't worry, we're going to go through everything again. I totally understand that it's going to be quite overwhelming at first, and look, it's perfectly normal. However, for the sake of completion and to summarize this, because we're not going to come back to time and sales, I just want you to know what is crucial that you understand before you move on, is the differences between the spot and the futures, and also why, hopefully now you can see, and it's becoming very clear why I say in professional trading firms, and I went on and on and on about this in module 1, and I did it for good reason, and I hope that's becoming clear now. Why, guys, this candlestick chart is an afterthought, secondary, tertiary, not even looked at in your first month or two or whatever in a professional trading environment, and I hope it's becoming clear why. A lot of people on social media are asking me about, oh, Envy, what do you mean when you say, there's stuff going on behind the chart? Well, now you've seen it for yourself, guys. There's plenty going on behind the chart that's driving this. Big institutional players here making snap decisions. You saw it quickly, right? Market's so dynamic. Decisions are being made in an instant. You saw on the last slide, for example, there was that, I think, 51, 52, 53 contracts that came and bought as the market was coming down. And initially I thought, oh, okay, that may be some profit taking. But as soon as I saw a bunch of contracts come and sell in after that, it was almost immediate. Straight away, my thesis changed that, okay, that's probably not someone taking profit. It's probably someone trying to scalp the bottom and he's getting run over. Guys, these decisions are being made in seconds, right? There's no technical indicators, I can assure you. There's no one sitting there at this level of trading using any of that garbage. This is serious money, serious people, and they're all basing decisions based on volume, demand and supply that's going on. So that's a crucial factor to take in. Coming back to the other factor I said is really important is to understand where this data is coming from versus the spot. And the reason I say that is because ultimately what you need to understand is the futures market is a proxy for the spot market, albeit a brilliant proxy. And why? Why is that? So let's bring that back to the time and sales. So if you need to revisit module 1, do it. Otherwise, I'm going to quickly go through what we did in that module, which is that, if you remember me saying it, guys, this is an OTC market, huge interbank market, also, a lot of institutional order flow, like big institutions such as real money central banks and so on. Guys, these guys are trading with each other direct. It's all proprietary information, this volume. We don't have sight over it. Why is the futures market such a great market for us to get an idea of what the actual depth? Don't forget, these guys are seeing their own depth to what we see here. The reason why it's such an excellent proxy for it, an approximation, because what exactly are we seeing on the time and sales, guys? So same thing as I talked about in module 1, except that these two institutions, right? Do you remember? There's an exchange in between. That means anyone that wants to do business with another party in the futures market has to go through the exchange, and that exchange will feed the information into our platforms. Everyone gets it. You, me, my grandmother, my uncle, my aunt, the biggest institution in the world, everyone's seeing the same information. That's the beauty of it. And it feeds into this, guys. Can you see the difference? Here, we don't know. But again, why is this such an excellent proxy? Because, guys, the people transacting in the futures market are massive institutions. You'll have traders here using, if they can't get liquidity in the spot market, they're going to use the futures market. So a lot of this demand and supply is going to be reflective of what's going on here. B, these are huge hedge funds, guys. I would say 50, 60, 70% of the volume you see here is from hedge funds, algorithms. Guys, this is why I say if you want to revisit for module 1, do it, because there I spoke a lot about how client order flow is between banks and large speculative institutions such as hedge funds, etc. So if those hedge funds have sight of that flow and they're using the futures market to take those speculative positions, you can see this is going to be a great representation of what's going on here. And then finally, you've got the reason of arbitrage, where there cannot be discrepancies between these markets. Otherwise, someone's going to come and spot that and immediately close that discrepancy. So for those reasons, this is a perfect and really the only option we have available to us, so we can see true supply and demand in the market. And you don't need to take my word for it. I showed you clearly in the last example how even my retail price is moving in tandem with the futures price. So that is why this information is so effective for us, and that's what's coming into the time and sales. So hopefully that all made sense. We'll just quickly summarize what exactly it was we were seeing in the time and sales, because that's another key takeaway before we move on to the next module. And so just try and remember this, guys, because I'm going to come back to it again. Like I said, we're going to start this from scratch. However, just try and remember the difference between aggression, that's AGG, and intent. We don't see intent on the time and sales, we're just seeing aggression. What does that mean? We're only seeing when execution. So this guy could be sitting there saying, I'm passively waiting. We're not going to see that come through. Only if this guy turns around and says, all right, I'm ready to buy right now, and he hits buy, that's the information we're going to see come through here, which is the volume. And we're going to see that volume reflect here. No need to go over that again. You saw that in the last video where this information was here, which I highlighted several times. Then obviously we're seeing the best bid and the best ask. I'll cover that, what that actually means again in the next module. We're seeing the time, as we said, of the time and sale. That was the sale. We see the type. So really all that is reflected, all of what is represented here is reflected here. So when we move on to the next module, just remember we're not going to see the time and sales anymore, but it is here. Now, one final thing, I'm kind of in two minds whether to mention this or not. Again, if this doesn't make sense, guys, because I know I'm probably gone way past the limit of information overload at the moment. I know it's a lot to take in. The reason this is really important, I say this here, and you can almost listen to it and then kind of ignore it and come back to it. Maybe even when we start to do the footprint stuff, etc., it's going to make a lot more sense. But it's really important I say this right now, is there's going to be certain types of orders, guys, that are block orders. So what do I mean by that? And why am I mentioning it here? Well, if you noticed in the last example, and I didn't want to say it then because there was a lot going on, when there was a transaction, I think there was about 17 or whatever it was, let's say it was here. So someone's bought, right, an ask trade. Let's count this up. 1 plus 3 is 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, right? So not quite 17, but let's say it's 16. What we don't know on the time and sales, and it's the way that the exchange, so for FX futures is the CME. Now, it could be any exchange in the world. The way the exchange sends the data to us when these guys are transacting with each other, is they split this out. We don't know if this chap could be someone from a big institution says, right, I want to buy 16 contracts in one go. We don't know whether that was one person buying 16 or whether it was, can you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Was it 10 people on the aggressive side? Because what this is doing is it splits it out according to the orders on the passive side. Again, like I said, this may be very confusing for you right now, but you can come back and revisit it. Take my word for it right now. When we come back, it will make a lot more sense. You may even revisit this in a month's time once all of this is kind of settled in and it makes sense. This is going to make a lot more sense to you then. But let me leave it here for reference now. So again, I'm going to repeat that. We do not know if this is one guy placing 16 orders or whether it's 16 people or whether it's however many are here, 8. Why is that? Because what the CME is doing when it sends us this data is it's sending us this data according to the passive side. Now, what I mean by that is someone probably had a pending order on the offer, on the ask for 1. Someone else had 1. Someone else had 2. Someone else had etc. etc. Do you see what I mean? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All these contracts, people were sitting there with pending orders, limit orders. We don't know if one guy came and took them all out in one go. We know there were 16. We just don't know the composition of that. Why is that important, guys? Like I said, when you come to the footprint stuff, this will become a bit more important, because what you can do if you want, and I like to do it sometimes, is you can either create your own sort of algorithm, although that's obviously quite complicated, or you can use a software to do it. Is you can get the software to rebunch these orders. There is a way to do it to show you whether that was one person or 5, 10 people. Why is that important? Guys, what do you think is more aggressive? One guy, let's say that was 100 lots. One person coming in and buying 100 units or 100 lots off the market? Or is it more aggressive if 100 different people just buy 1 unit each? Obviously, it's going to be the one guy buying 100 units at one go, right? It's much more concentrated aggression. It's really strong aggression. So that's why I mention it here. We can reconstruct. It's called reconstructed tape. We can reconstruct that on the footprint. And that's why I wanted to mention it here. So again, if it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. We'll come back to it. Great work sticking all the way through this module. I'll see you in the next module, guys. See you later.